Get the microphone over here so you guys can hear me. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Uh, all right. Crazy, crazy stuff. I'll tell you what. But good. Busy in a good way. So there's a couple things we're going to touch on. We're going to get into this discussion about the railroad strike and the intervention of the government in that and why two separate bills. We're going to talk about that as well. Okay. So a couple things I want to talk about real quick first. Okay, so um, people have been asking me, uh, you know, with getting a doghouse for Hella for the outside enclosure for her, and then getting the tarps and getting that all ready. And they're like, "Well, I thought she stays with you." When I am home, that dog is always with me. She sleeps in the house, at the end of my bed. She is always with me. I cannot always take Hella with me when I go out. Okay, if I have running to do, I can't. I take her with me most of the time. I'll be honest with you. The dog's generally always with me, but there are times that I can't take her. All right, so I have to have a spot for her where she can be safe, dry, out of the weather, and stuff like that. I can't leave her in a camper because if anybody has seen any of the pictures of that, she ate through half of the bathroom door because I had the bathroom door closed and had her so she could be in the bathroom or the bedroom one of the days that I had left. Okay. And she ate like half the door. So if you close this bathroom door over here, the outside's fine, but on the inside, half of it's gone. She tore it all up. So I realized really quickly I can't leave her in a camper because she's not going to behave. So this way, she's in a safe, contained area, going to be out of the weather, and but yeah. So that's what that's all about. So now the other thing I want to this one I laughed. I laughed so hard. I mean, this was funny. It was a comment, and I'm sure the lady was trying to be genuine. Probably doesn't watch the channel, and she's like, "Oh my God, feed that dog. That dog is so skinny. Obviously you're not missing any meals. Really, I'm not. I couldn't tell. Thank you for reminding me that I'm fat again. So that's very helpful." She goes, "It looks like you're not missing any meals. Feed that dog." If you guys knew, and as some of you do know how spoiled my dog is. If I stop, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, she's with me. Okay. 9 times out of 10, the dog's with me. If I stop and get Taco Bell, um, she gets two tacos. So if I stop at McDonald's, she gets her own hamburger. So, and then of course, then I share my fries with her if I'm getting fries and whatever as well. I mean, the dog is spoiled beyond belief. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was eating these the other day, okay, with three bean dip. It's the dip. So she's right here. So I would dip one for me, and I would eat one chip, and then I would dip the next chip in the dip, and I would give that to her. That's how it normally goes. She is she is unbelievably spoiled. She's a skinny dog. What do you want me to do? She's very likes to run, get out there, and do her thing. I just laughed at it because obviously the person has no idea, and I found that amusing. So that's I did have to share that with you, but so and then like I said, when somebody's saying, "Well, I thought the dog was inside with you," if I'm here, she's with me, but like I said, I'm not always going to be here, and so I got to make sure that she's safe. And I'm not leaving her in the camper because I don't know what I would come home to. So yeah, she's young. She's only 2 years old, so she'll fill out in time. But no, she's. I don't know if she's pregnant or not. To be honest with you, her she seems a little more mellow, I should say. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But and what does this lady look like? I have no idea, Angela. Well, like I said, it's very easy It's very easy to cast judgment when you're sitting in your home and watching somebody on YouTube, and to cast your judgments. That's an easy thing to do. So I just find it funny. I It doesn't even bother me anymore. So we'll see what happens. But all right, so we're gonna get in. So I'm gonna ask. Here's what we got: 232 in the chat, 70 thumbs up. So again, if you have not shot a thumbs up, please do so to show support for the channel. And I thank you ahead of time. Also, it does really make a big difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction that we have, excuse me, the better for the channel as well. Real quick, I do want to mention uh, family friendly oriented channel. Please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. Just let's be decent. And if you can't, those awesome people lit up in blue with the wrenches will boot you out of here, because we're not going to have it. So that's the only warning I give people. And if you want to come in here and act foolish, then that's what happens, because we're just not going to tolerate it. It's not something that we do. All right. So okay, now there was a bill that was passed to force the workers to take the contract, to accept the contract that was given by the union, not the union, by the administration for the owners of the railroad companies. So there was that bill. Then they did a separate bill to give the railroad workers 7 days sick time. Okay. So what do you think? Why would it be two different bills? Because I have my thoughts on this, and I definitely I'm going to share them with you. And but yeah, there was. Let's see. Hold on a second. There's something else I was going to share with you guys here too, and I want to make sure I find this. Hold on a second. I want to read this to you. Um, let's see. So basically, Congress runs the railroad. Since when does Congress have the power to a private company to screw you if you turn the other way? Maybe they're going to force them to take the lesser deal. Are they planning to nationalize the railroads? All right. So hold on one second. I want to find something first. And JJ sent me this on Facebook. So I want to read this to you first, because I think this is relevant. I think he sent it on Facebook. Let's see. Or did he send it to me in a text? Maybe it was a text. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, it was a text. All right. So JJ sent me this, and this is really relevant to this, and then we're going to talk about this. Guaranteeing 7 paid sick days to railroad workers would cost the rail industry a grand total of $321 million a year, less than 2% of its profits. Okay. Please don't tell me the railroad industry can't afford it. Railroad companies spent $25.5 billion in stock buybacks and dividends this year alone. Okay. So that's going to give you some reference points with that. And I thought that's really relevant. So I wanted to make sure that I said that in the chat here. All right. Two separate bills. So what the first bill basically says is that I'm going to kill my volume because I did not do that yet. All right. The first bill basically says that the railroad workers have to accept the deal. They can't go on strike, right? Uh, so give some background to this first again. You have 12 different unions. 4 of the 12 unions said no to the deal. If one of the unions says no to the deal, then it's done. They're not. Everybody strikes. Okay. So what happens is uh, the 4 that said no make up the majority of the workers. So even though the press secretary for the president says, well, 8 of 10 or 8 of 12 said, yes to the deal, that's the majority. It's really not. because the majority of the workers are in those four unions that said no. So that's the reality. I mean, if you have a union that has 200 people as part of this 12 unions, and then you have a union that has 20,000 people in it, that's not equal. So just putting that part out there too. But here's my thought on this. So first of all, Congress passed the thing saying that the railroad workers have to take this deal. Now it still has to go to the Senate, okay? And then the second part of the second thing, the bill that they passed, was stating that the railroads have to give the workers 7 days of sick time. So my first thought when I saw this was, okay, why would that not all be in one bill, right? That makes more sense. But what we're being told, and from the information that I was looking at, the second vote went along party lines. The Democrats approving it, the Republicans saying no. Okay, and apparently, and I don't know, how true this information is, but this is what I read. It said Republicans were saying, well, it's over generous to give them 7 sick days on top of the increase in pay and that type of thing. All right, which I don't think it is. Again, you're not talking about a ridiculous amount of money that's going to hurt the railroad industry. It's obviously not going to hurt the railroad industry. Less than 2% of profits to give people sick days. Okay. So, with looking at this, you passed the first bill. That actually didn't go against with party lines. There was a lot of Republicans that said yes, the railroad workers have to go back to work as well. Okay, so that was quite a larger number. But the second vote for the sick days was along party lines. Basically, when it goes to Senate, to the Senate next, the first one most likely will be passed, right? You have to take this deal. You have to go back to work. Now, we're going to discuss that in a minute as well. The second part is the sick time. And they basically have said they don't know if they have enough votes to make sure that that second part gets passed in the Senate. So, what does that do? The Democrats can say, oh, well, look, we tried. We tried to get them sick time, and it's the Republicans' fault that they're not going to get the sick time. And so, yeah, you do have to accept this contract, even though it's not what you want, and you have to go. You have to not strike as of December 9th. And sorry about your troubles about the sick days, but you can't get it, and now you're locked into this contract for 2 more years, right? Now, here's a couple problems that I have, like I said, with this. Number one, they should both have been in there together. It should have been part of it, not two different parts. And that's just setting up, in my opinion, strictly my opinion, that the first part gets passed through the Senate and then it goes to Biden. He signs it and says, "See, oh look, we've saved the day. No railroad strike. The workers have to take this deal." And then the second part doesn't get approved in the Senate, and then the big business doesn't have to give up $321 million a year to keep people, from getting sick time. Now, my thought is, if I'm a railroad worker and that's a bone of contention with me, I don't give a crap what the government says that we can or cannot do. If they decide to go on strike, folks, um, I it's just it's so much BS in my opinion. And so what I had mentioned in my earlier video, and I'm going to mention this now. I'm Joe Politician. I'm the politician, right? I am, Senator Prepper Nurse One. Well, I get a lot of really, really big donations from the railroad companies. The companies have given me a lot of money for my campaign. They've done all this to help me out because they like me. They think I'm a wonderful senator. And so now I'm one of the ones making a decision whether to side with the railroad workers or to side with the companies. Who do you think that I'm going to side with realistically? Do you bite the hand that feeds you? Of course you don't. So, I mean, again, this whole thing is it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because once the government gets involved, I'm not going to come out and say that the government is bought and paid for. I'm going to let you guys make your own assumptions with that because that would be presumptuous of me to say, well, all these politicians are bought and paid for, and they're going to always side with big business and not the small, you know, everyday working Joes, right? I mean, I couldn't say that because, how can I prove that that's the case? But when you are seeing who finances these congressmen and women and these senators, it's kind of obvious, right? Which way they're going to go and how it's going to go. So it's just, if I'm the worker, if I'm Joe Worker on the railroad, and I've said, no, we're not accepting this contract and we're striking as of the 9th of December, and these yahoos in suits up in Washington are telling me, nope, you have to accept this deal, and here it is, and that's it. I'm telling them to kiss my behind, and I'm striking anyway. I mean, what are you going to do? Oh, we told you you can't strike. Well, who are you? You know, you brokered this deal that is in favor of the railroad company. It just, I don't know. It's a crazy thing, and it's not like when you break it down, and I say it's less than 2% of profits to give them sick time. 2% of their profits, right? When they're spending 25.5 billion on buybacks, stock buybacks, and paying out dividends, to their shareholders, $321 million is nothing. It's nothing, you know, for those type of people. Hey, Troy, thank you. He says upgraded membership to moderate prepper. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. But it's just, it, it amazes me how many people, like governments, think they get to make all the calls. And then, like I said, and if I'm wrong on this and both things go through and the workers get taken care of, I will be the first to come on here and say my assessment of the situation was wrong. They did the right thing. They took care of the workers. I'll be the first one to say that. But my gut feeling is that I am probably not wrong. Okay, probably not wrong, because why would you do two separate bills unless you didn't care if the second one got through? And that's just my take on it. Like I said, we're gonna have to see how that all plays out, and we're gonna go from there. But I get 120 hours of PTO and 3 to 5 floating holidays. Sometimes give up 3 floating holidays, and sometimes they give us 4 or 5. It depends. Yeah, it really depends on what union you're with and what they've negotiated. And the other part, guys, that and now they are going to get a 24% bump in pay and $5,000 bonuses. What is there to complain about? Again, getting time off to be able to do the things that they need to do. Well, you got to understand too, guys. Okay, and this is why, like I said, I can't side with big business on this one. I really can't. These folks have been fighting for a new contract for 2 years, so they've continued to work for 2 years with with everything that's going on. And I don't think asking to be able to have paid sick days is too much to ask. Give them all the money in the world. Does that help them if they need to have time off for, a death in the family? You got a child sick. And I'm going to tell you what, just from my own personal experience as a father, if I don't care what job I was working, if something was going on with my kids and they needed to be at the doctor's or the hospital, they come first. That's my take on it. Okay, that's my take on it. Companies really need to understand things happen. Nothing, railroad workers do not work 40 hours a week, try 60 to 70 hours a week. Oh, yeah. I mean, they work a lot of hours. They're on call a lot. There's a lot to be done with. And like I said, I've been contacted by several railroad workers that have confirmed when I said, that I had been contacted and that, you had uh, the bosses were going around looking for reasons to fire people. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to work in that kind of an environment. I really wouldn't. And I guess a lot of people don't because they continue to leave because of that. And they should. They should. Because why, yeah, how many days does Congress get off? Well, let's talk about one stretch of time, Robert, that Congress and the Senate get off. Let's talk about their August break, like the entire month of August. They don't have to be in Washington D.C. Now, that's a pretty good gig, right? Then they get the break for the winter, for Christmas and New Year's. They get the amount of time the congressmen and senators get off is ridiculous. And then half the time, a lot of them, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them miss votes because they're not in D.C. They're doing something else. So yeah, it's just it is amazing to me. It really, really is, and it just continues to keep happening. But too much government intervention is not a good thing. This is something that should be between the railroad companies and the workers. And if the workers don't get what they ask for, and like I said, did they get big raises? Yep, they sure did. Did they get back pay? Yep, they sure did. Did they get bonuses? Yes, they sure did. But when these guys are on call all the time and they're working ridiculous hours and they can't get time off to deal with personal issues, that's ridiculous. The average hourly rate for railroad workers ranges from 21 to 26, with the average hourly pay of $24 an hour. Billy the Kid Norwood said. Yeah, I mean they're making very decent money. There's nothing, you going to begrudge them that? I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, is that so? Let me ask. Okay, so Billy the Kid, you're talking about. Let's talk about. Okay, let's talk about this one then. All right, we're going to change the subject here real quick because I want to hear the justification for this. So you're I don't know, I don't think that you're complaining, but you're saying that the average railroad worker is making between 21 and $26 an hour, with the average being about $24 an hour. Okay, decent money, right? Take care of your business with that, not too shabby. What's the CEO making of the railroad companies? What's her pay a year? And when it breaks down to an hourly rate, what's the hourly rate that these CEOs, and it doesn't even have to be the railroad company. I'm going to throw a name out there, guys. Jamie Dimon. Does anybody know? Can somebody tell me? Oh, it's way more than that, Jen. Way more than that. What does Jamie Dimon? He is the one of the bankers. I'm trying to think. Is he Chase? God, I'm trying to think. What Jamie Dimon is ahead of one of the banks, and I can't think of what bank it is. But Diamond makes more in an hour than all of us combined make in a month. Yeah, J.P. Morgan. Yes, thank you very much. So Jamie Dimon is ahead of J.P. Morgan. Can somebody look up and tell me what Jamie Dimon's salary? Not counting stock options, not counting incentives. What is his yearly salary for J.P. Morgan? So can somebody tell me? Actually, maybe I can look it up real quick if you guys, because I am very curious. All right, let's see. Uh, All right. Jamie Dimon's salary, $34.5 million. 34.5 million. All right. So I want you to think about that. That's his salary. $34.5 million last year or this year for his salary. Now, compare that to, let's say, what, the $24 an hour that the railroad workers are making. I mean, there is no comparison, no comparison, and that I'm sure doesn't cover his stock options that he gets on top of that salary. And I've said this before, and uh, I've had people say to me, "Well, they deserve that kind of money." No, they don't. And I'm not for communism, and I'm not a socialist, and I'm not any of those type of things. But if you are ahead of one of those type of companies, there needs to be some kind of cap, because nobody in that position is worth $34 million a year. Now, and along with that, I will say this too, and I've said this before too. Any athlete, I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball, no athlete is worth that kind of money, $30 million a year for playing a game. Okay, but so those are, it's ridiculous, but it's allowed to continue to happen, and you have people will justify. I remember back when there was a big attack on the CEOs, okay, and it was this big thing, and people were upset that they were getting these ridiculous amounts of money. Of course, then the golden parachutes when they went into a company and they completely screwed a company up and they got fired because they screwed the company up so bad. In their contract that they signed, they get this huge golden parachute plan when they leave. So they've got huge incentive programs for basically being fired. Now, if I remember correctly, I have been fired from jobs before. I have. I never once ever got an incentive package when they let me go. I didn't. Well, first of all, they never even gave me any notice that they were letting me go. They just said, "You don't work here anymore." you know, and I'm like, okay, well, what will my compensation package be? There is no compensation package, but these people, these CEOs, they get a compensation package on top of screwing up whatever they did, and then getting ridiculous pay on top of it. They're not worth it. They're not. I don't. You know what? No, sorry, not buying it. I don't care what kind of nonsense you're trying to feed somebody. Nobody is worth that kind of money. So, but and then so those type of companies, those are so. I wonder. Let me actually do this. I'm trying to think, because Warren Buffett has a huge, huge stake in the railroads, and who's, I'm trying to think, the guy, the other hugely rich individual that's got a big, big stake in the railroads as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, jeez, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But anyway, these guys are making, like I said, just absolutely ridiculous, ridiculous money. Not Bloomberg. No, was it the guy that Paul Allen? Paul Allen is one of those guys, isn't he? That's what I'm thinking of. Another billionaire that was with the Bill Gates whole thing like that. He's got like a huge, huge amount of money in the railroads, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be, but I think it's Paul Allen. But Paul Allen's dead. Well, maybe it's not Paul Allen then. I'm trying to remember who it was. I know Warren Buffett has a huge, huge stake in the railroads, but I don't know. If I remember, I'll mention it, again. But 87,600 hours in a year equals 4,000 divided by 35 mil. Yeah, there you go. So that'll give you an idea. So that's ridiculous. like I said, again, nobody's worth that kind of money. I don't care who you are. And there's no justification for it. But well, I was going to go back to saying 4K an hour. Yeah. So yeah, they're not worth that. So it's Warren Buffett. Okay. So Warren Buffett, like I said, has a huge stake in the railroads. So he's got a lot of influence. Obviously, he's got a lot of money, and so again, as soon as this president came into office, what was one of the first things he did? He shut down the construction of the pipeline from Canada to, into the United States to refine Canadian oil. Who did that benefit? So let's think about this one, okay? Who did that benefit when they shut down that pipeline? Well, you still have to transport that oil, right? So how do they do a lot of transporting of that oil? Either trucks or train. So Buffett made a fortune being able to do that. You look at the other situation where they're trying to shut down the pipeline. I believe George Soros, is he part of it? He could be too. Yeah. Um, but there was up in Michigan, the governor of Michigan was trying to tell Canada that they couldn't use that pipe anymore, and they had to shut it down. If you guys remember all that, and as far as I know, they never did shut it down because the natural gas and everything, that is being used up in Canada was, they need that natural gas and that oil up there. So there was a whole big to do about that. But if they had got that successfully shut down, which I don't believe they ever did, that oil and gas would still have to be moved, and then it would be moved by the railroads or the trucking companies. So, again, there's a lot of games being played. There's a lot of money switching hands to get, what is this here? Social workers make $200 an hour just for talking here in Australia. That's insane. That is insane. So, Mr. Rose says Walmart CEOs over 12K per hour. Yeah, I mean, and again, um, yeah, it's insanity. It is insanity. But these are things that are happening constantly. So again, Angela's making a great statement. Follow the money. Whenever a decision is made, whenever anything happens in those type of situations, my biggest advice to anybody is follow the money, which means because this decision was made, who benefited from that decision. And when you see at the end of the day, over and over and over again, that big business is the ones that benefit from all these different decisions, again, that it's very clear, you know. So when I always say that Biden is just a figurehead, he don't run the country, folks. Big business runs this country. Big business has their fingers in a lot of pies. There is a lot of money, and they just do what they have to do. So, but this is part of the game of life. This has been going on for a long time. And what are you going to, like I said, how do you fight City Hall, right? There's really not a whole lot we can do unless enough people, again, and I'll say this over and over again, unless enough people say enough is enough and I'm not doing this anymore, nothing is ever going to change. Nothing. So, but it goes way higher up than government. Yep, Bubba One, you are 100% correct. So, but run for office. Not a big fan of politics. Really not a big fan. Unfortunately, what happens a lot of times when honest people try to get into politics to try to make a legitimate change, uh, it doesn't work out. I'm going to give you a statement that I said to my buddy Steve. Okay, we were talking about Jimmy Carter, and what I said to him, I said I believe that Jimmy Carter was a good and honest man that was in a job where you could not be a good and honest man. And he said to me, he goes, I really like that. He goes, I really like that because it breaks it down. It really explains it realistically. If you are in that position as president of the United States, you can't be a good and honest man. The decisions that you have to make. Railroads haul nearly 700,000 carloads of corn per year. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it goes on and on and on, Okie Forge. I mean, it would cost the economy ridiculous amounts of money if the railroad workers go on strike. So, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it over and over and over again. They should take care of their workers. Take care of your workers, keep your workers happy, and you'd be all set. Hey, purebred prepper, you have a good night. Okay, you definitely have a good night. Yeah, and it's like all the restrictions that they're trying to do. 2 billion a day. Yep, Jen Boyles. Yep, a strike would cost the country $2 billion a day. Jimmy Carter was also a peanut farmer. Yes, he was, but I think he was a decent and honest man, and he couldn't be in that position. So that's why he lasted 4 years and they got rid of him because he wouldn't do. And this is just strictly my opinion. I don't think that he would do what they wanted him to do, and so I remember when he won. I remember when Jimmy Carter won, and I remember at the time going, he probably woke up and went, "Oh my God, I won!" So yeah, but off-topic question: how are you going to clear snow from your drive in West Virginia? Well, apparently we don't get a ton of snow down here. If we do have, a decent snowstorm where we get a lot of snow, and I need to get snow cleared, I can actually call my bulldozer guy, and he would be able to do that. So right now, that's how. Um, Next week's headline: Ed feeds human food to dog. Right, right. Yeah, somebody will be complaining about that too. But yeah, so I could call him if I needed to assist me if that was the case. So, but I like I said, if I know that there's going to be like some major storm coming and we're going to get dumped on, I'm probably well. First of all, I'm not going to park in the lower meadow at all. If that's the case, I'll be up on top in the upper meadow. So, but we'll see how it all goes. We'll see how it. Like I said, this is going to be my first winter down here, so I am going to see how it goes. I'm going to see what happens, and we will cross all those bridges when we get there. So. I don't want train drivers sick and hallucinating carloads of chemicals across the country. They need sick days. Exactly. They absolutely do. Everybody needs sick days. JJ said, did you do the skirting around the RV? No. Actually, what I did today, I focused on Hella and I got the tarp up. Actually, you'll see that video tomorrow at 3. Windier than windy today, but I got the tarps up around the cage for her area there. So just trying to get that, you know, yeah, no way will it be worse than a Western New York winter. Exactly. So yeah, Bizarizza Jizza, yes. I gotta mention this because I laugh um, with this. Okay, when I bought this property, and people said, "Oh my God, it still snows in West Virginia," and my reply to people was, um, yeah, but it won't be like New York. It's not going to be like New York. Is it possible to make that cage bigger? No, no. That's as big as it can be. But you know, well, what I could do down the road, Okie Forge, is I could, get another run and put it in there so that she could have access to the run as well as the cage. So I could do that, and have that be more of the shelter area for her, and then have a good run for her. But short term, you know, it's going to work for her for now, and she's got the dog house in there, and so she'll be okay. But so no, I focused on her. I do need to get the skirting done on the camper as well. It's just I'm trying to get different things taken care of, and I'm trying to prioritize. And I know it may sound crazy, but my dog takes priority over me as far as I'm concerned in that aspect. So that's why, that's getting done first. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's like, moving forward, like I said, I would put in if I'm going to be gone for a good part of the day, I'd like her to have a decent run to be able to get out and run around as well as be able to go in and have that area to rest. So that's something that's going to have to slowly be dealt with over time. But oh, no way, no. As soon as I'm home, hey Troy, thank you very much for the donation. I do appreciate that. Yeah, it's a huge crate. Yeah, it's large, right? Exactly. Uh, I don't want to put hay under this trailer. Uh, sawtail, because if you have straw and stuff, now you're inviting mice and everything else. So I'm not going to be having straw underneath the uh, the um, the camper. So I got the foam board insulation in. You know, I'm going to get that up, and so that will be. It's going to get up. It's just going to be. There's been other priorities, and but no, as far as the weather down here, the weather's not going to be like New York. And so this is going to be, this is going to be my first winter down here full time, obviously. So we're going to see how that goes. If it is bad, I'll make adjustments. I mean, we're going to get through this winter no matter what. And hopefully, by next winter, I won't be, wintering in the camper, or I'll have a big area in the front of the camper where I could put a wood stove in and then have that heat come into the camper. We're going to have to see, with all of that. Again, a lot of it's going to come down to finances, where I'm at financially, what I can take care of, what I cannot take care of. And we're just going to have to go with there. So, you know, but yeah, early egg count guess because I have to drive now. All right, Jen, you go ahead and drive, and you'll have to come back later and see what it was. We're a couple minutes away from the egg count, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll figure it all out. It's going to be what it's going to be. Uh, you know, Trial and error. Yep, exactly. And that's what we figured out in New York. We figured out what worked. We figured out what didn't work, and we got things to taken care of. Does Becky still have her love interest? Yes, actually, um, they are actually planning a wedding next year. So yep. So she's very happy. Like I said, he's a decent guy. I really, really like him, and he's definitely taking good care of my sister. And that's all I ask for. Anything, anybody. Hey, Wolfgang, good night, buddy. Have a good night. But yeah, for my daughter, for my sister, for my mother, my niece, I would hope that they would end up with decent men, and that they're treated decently, and time will tell. But this one that she's with, he's very decent. I think you guys could probably tell from the videos. Was not such a big fan of Mike, which is my sister's ex-husband. Not a big fan at all. And I'll just leave that at that. And there was a myriad of reasons. I could give you a laundry list of reasons why I felt like he was a worthless piece of garbage. But we don't need to get into all that. But like I said, this guy, really, really good. Really, really good. So, oh, he was more than that, Randy Romines. He was more than that. So, oh, I got to tell you guys a funny story real quick, and then we're going to do the egg count. So, in the private group that I do on Mondays for my hardcore preppers, we were doing the egg count. Okay, and so the egg count was zero that particular day. All right, so that was Monday. The egg count was zero on Monday, and so they're making their guesses, and then I said, nope, everybody's wrong. You get a second guess, And then, so it's like it's always yes or no for thick neck, and then the egg count. Well, two of the people came out in the second guess and put zero, right? But they didn't put a yes or no for thick neck. And I'm like, because I'm so like wrapped into that, I was like, you guys, you said zero, but you didn't say, yes or no. Well, obviously, if they're saying zero eggs, then the answer is no, she did not lay. Um, and all of a sudden, it like dawned on me after I told them you got to give me a yes or no. And I was like, well, wait a minute, and then it dawned on me, and I was like, oh my God, how funny. Hilarious. Hilarious. That's like a major snafu, but it was very, very funny. So if it's zero, then obviously you don't have to say yes or no for thick neck because obviously the obvious answer is no. So that was funny. Yeah, it was very, very funny, and we all had a good laugh over that one. So that was very, very funny. All right, so let's go ahead and do the egg count for today. So yes or no for thick neck, and what is your guess for how many eggs today? So I will give you a minute, and we will go from there. Give you another minute here to get your guesses in, and then I will tell you what the answer is. All right, the first right answer that I saw was from Prepping Survival, and their guess was two eggs and no thick neck. And that was the correct guess today. So, congratulations, Prepping Survival. You have won absolutely nothing. So, congratulations on that. And I object. We don't know the weather in New York. It's cold. It's definitely always going to be colder than here. So I want to go back, guys, on this with the whole weather thing. Okay, because I am as much farther south as I am from New York, the weather's going to be warmer no matter what. And I'm going to tell you what. Let's make a guess and just say, and I'm going to make a number up. 5 degrees. I'm going to make a guess of 5 degrees. Let's say it's 5 degrees average warmer here than in New York. That's huge. That's a huge, huge difference. That's between the difference of getting rain and getting snow. Now we had a lot of rain this morning, quite a bit of rain this morning. So that was that's just how it is. Sometimes you're going to get rain and sometimes you're not. Then by 1 o'clock the rain had stopped. Uh, and elevation does play a factor too, Rep Frederick. Yeah, it does. And I'm in, like I said, in New York. We were at 1,600 feet elevation, and so down in the town, it was always 6 to 8 degrees warmer in town. Where I am here, I'm at 3,200 feet elevation. So I'm, even though I'm farther south, I'm higher up in the hills. And so, like down in the valleys, it's quite a bit warmer in the valleys all the time. That's just the reality of that. But, and that's okay. But, I just, it's going to be, what it's going to be as far as weather goes. I know two things: winter comes later and spring comes sooner. And those are two positive things, in my opinion. And, we're just going to do we'll get through it. And I basically have been told, January and February can suck pretty hard up here. And the cold snap that we had in the beginning of November, that was January, February type weather. Well, if that's the case, I can live with that. Doesn't mean I'm going to like it. No, I'm not going to like it, but I can live with it. I'm going to do what I got to do. So, you know, yeah. And the sun doesn't shine in the wintertime in New York. You are absolutely right about that, neighbor Bob. Uh, you know, you can go weeks overcast, cloudy, crappy weather day after day after day in New York. And, being further south, hopefully we're going to get more sunshine. and that's the hope. So what I've been told, basically, they've had big snowstorms in the past, but it's been several years since they've had any big snowstorms. I watched the weather down here last winter, very very mild in comparison to New York, and so like I said, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna find out this year, and so we'll get the wood stove set up in the big blue house. And if worse comes to worse, if it's really really cold and I can't sleep in the camper, I'll go down and go in the big blue house and we'll get a fire down there. You know what I mean? So, do you supplement vitamin D? Yes, I think supplementing. Okay, here's some advice to people, and I think this is really important. Vitamin D3 helps with your immune system. If you live in the Northeast, you are always going to be vitamin D3 deficient in the wintertime. You cannot get enough natural vitamin D3 if you live in the Northeast in the wintertime. So I would absolutely help or encourage you to do vitamin D3 because it's going to help your immune system. I take, like, I haven't recently, being honest, but I'm going to get back into the routine because now we're getting into wintertime. Vitamin D3, zinc, and then I take vitamin C. So that's what I'm going to do. But so, but it's you know, it helps with your immune system, and vitamin C promotes healing. So I mean, and you cannot overdose on vitamin C. So no matter how much you take, if you take too much, all you're going to do is pee it out, and your pee is going to be more yellow, so a darker yellow. So I don't take vitamin B12. No, I mean you can, but if there's vitamin D3 in bacon, I'm set. Oh my god, that's too funny. But again, like I said, you have to make a decision of what's going to be best for you. If you have osteoporosis, you're going to want to take a calcium supplement to try to help your bones. I mean, there's different things out there. Uh, again, we all have to make decisions on what we're going to take into our body. But I think that it is important. Again, wintertime, we're not going to get the sunshine that we do normally, obviously. So it's important to make sure you're supplementing that because again, it's a huge part of your immune system. So vitamin D3 is really really important. So yeah, no, I haven't seen Philip either. I know it's not weeks, but it's probably at least a week that Philip has not been in the chat. So I hope he's okay. Yes, yeah, Angela Fleming has a really good statement here, folks. She says, "Do your research before you take things," and I absolutely agree with that 100%. So, you know, I'll tell you what. Like I said, in New York every winter, I definitely would get. Yeah, he was in last week's chat. Yeah, but he's been off for a week. I haven't seen him for about a week. But last winter, every winter before, I would get seasonal depression disorder. Can't stand it. I don't like that gloomy, crappy weather over and over and over again. Like today, here, okay, we had rain this morning, and then it cleared up, and the sun came out. Any word on how North Shore and how he's doing? I haven't heard anything. I haven't talked to him. Is your New York stove Vermont castings? Ah, God, I don't remember. I don't remember. Yeah, that I'm not sure, Mr. Rose. I've done videos on what the stove was. You'd have to go back and look at that. Elderberry is really good as well. Yep, elderberry is another good thing to take. So there's a lot of things you can do to help your own health, but again, it's important that you do your research, find out, make sure nothing's going to interact with any other medications you're taking. So, but yeah, I just like I said, I will not miss New York. I can honestly say that. I'll miss my family. but that's it. I mean, I love the area in New York that I have my place up there. Not gonna lie, it's a good area. People are fairly decent, and that makes a big difference as well. But I'm not gonna miss 6 months of winter. I'm not gonna miss the ridiculously high taxes on everything. I'm not gonna miss the draconian laws that they have in New York State that they're imposing on everybody, and all those type of things. So, to me, it's like a lot more freedoms down here. It's just it's just better. You know, the fact that I don't like. Okay, so in New York State, okay, if you want to get a pistol, and I'm just going to use this as an example, you want to get a pistol in New York State, you have to go through hoops to get your pistol permit. So what you have to do is, I'll miss Labatt's beer. Yes, I will definitely miss that. Bizarre, but that doesn't mean I can't come up there and make a road trip and pick some up. So, um, if you want to get your pistol permit in New York, you're looking at least a year to get your pistol permit. You have to buy the pistol first, then the shop that you buy it from holds on to it. Then you go through the process, and you got the sheriff's got to go out. They got to go and talk to your references. I mean, it is ridiculous what they put you through. And then if they approve you for your pistol permit in New York, then they have an absolute record of everything that you have, right? Absolute record of everything that you have. And if there is anything happens, you are accused of domestic violence in any way. I can prep two gifted five preppers one memberships. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can prep two. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Um, if you're accused of domestic violence, and I think this is pretty much universal, if you're accused of it, they come and they take your guns, and it's like you have to like jump through hoops to try to get your stuff back. It's absolutely ridiculous, ridiculous trying to get your stuff back. And it's just it happens, and it's a mess. Now, come down to West Virginia, right? To get your for West Virginia, it is an open and concealed carry state, no permit needed. If you have your West Virginia driver's license, you can walk into the gun store. You still have to do the federal background check, which you're not going to get out of that no matter what. But you walk into the gun store, you say, "Yes, I would like to purchase this pistol." They go, "Okay." You do the background check. Sometimes it goes through right away. Generally, it'll take 2 to 3 days. They said, "I'll call you in, when it clears." It could take up to 30. Generally, you hear back in 2 to 3 days. They call you up and they say, "Yep," as long as you're not, a felon or a fugitive from justice in the country illegally and all those type of things. But if you lie on what you are putting on the thing, then you're going to get in trouble for that anyway. So they do the background check, and I got my pistol permit from the start to finish in about 3 months. Depends on what county you're in too. I'm what I was talking about in New York is Monroe County. Monroe County, forget about it. You're looking at a year. Okay. So anyway, you get your pistol, and there's no permit. It's not like you get it, you buy it, there you are. You're all set. Now, if I wanted to buy a pistol, you know, if I wanted to buy a pistol privately in West Virginia, I'm absolutely allowed to do that too. I don't have to have somebody's permission to do that. But yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's a lot more freedoms down here, and the thing is cool down here. And this was told to me last year. I asked somebody. He said to me, he goes, "Not a lot of fights in West Virginia," and I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Because everybody considers everybody else armed, and they are so there's no fist fights because you're not going to start no crap with somebody, and then if somebody's got a gun, you know what I mean? It's like that doesn't end well generally. So there's not a lot of fist fights, and I think that that's awesome. I still have my 38 card from the military. Go pass go and collect $200. There you go. You're also in Florida, JJ, which is a lot more freedom down there as well. But in Texas, you don't have to have any permit. You just have to have a clean record. Yeah. So as long as you don't have felonies or domestic abuse, or you're going through, like, they give you a whole bunch of questions that they ask you when they're doing the background check. And like one is, are you dealing in court right now for domestic violence or that type of stuff? And I think those are legitimate questions. I mean, because there are some people that have, non good intentions, but the majority of people, I think that we have that right. We have that, that we should to be able to defend ourselves. I was going to tell you. I remember I told you guys the other day about that situation. We're going to do shout outs here in just a minute, guys. But I wanted to talk about this real quick. So when I was talking about the other day, the situation in the parking lot where I was like looking at the license plate number and or look, it had the outside of the plate. It had Cincinnati, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're from Ohio, because just because you have the Cincinnati, you could be a Cincinnati fan, and it could be another state. So that's why I was like looking to see, if it was an Ohio license plate, which it was. Okay. And then the girl gets out of the car, looks at the front of her car, and she gets back in her car. And then when I was getting ready to leave, I was pulling back, and she got out of her car and she started yelling at me. I told you guys all about that. Well, one of the things that I forgot to mention, um, wherever I go down here in West Virginia, wherever I go armed. I'm open carry. Uh, so my thought was this: how stupid is this girl, realistically? She saw me walk by the car. I'm left handed. So as I'm walking by the front of the car, she's seeing the left hand side of my body. So she knows I had a gun on me. She knew I had a gun on me. And you're going to still get out of your car and act like a jerkweed with somebody that's carrying? I mean, people, and so that just kind of shows you again the mentality of people and where people's minds are. I mean, that I was no threat to anybody. I was more puzzled with the whole situation. But how stupid is she, realistically? You know, Randy Romines. Well, she's from Ohio after all. No, she was not a blonde. Yeah, yeah, it sounds like she was in La La Land. It was something. She was something. Because like I said, I never like gave them a look or anything. I was just like, like a curiosity, like, oh, well, that's interesting, you know, harmless, harmless. No, Okie Ford, she was not a redhead either. So, but yeah, it was just one of those things. It was just, but again, it just goes to show people are very brazen and they're stupid. They're really, really stupid today. So, but anyway, all right, we're gonna do shout outs. Let's get to that. So, and as you can see, I have not transferred anything out of this terribly dirty book that sat out in the weather for over a week. At some point, I will. Actually, I'm going to show you guys something. You guys are going to be shocked. I'm going to show you this right now. So I have where my couch is over here. Okay, ends up being a catch-all. So realistically, it ends up being a catch-all. And so I was like, well, you know what? I got all kinds of space underneath the couch. I can store stuff under there. And, being in a camper and not a ton of room, you kind of need to have space to put stuff. So I organized, and I got to show you, and I'll show you really quickly. Look how clean and organized that area is right now. I mean, it's I was quite impressed actually. The whole floor area over here got everything cleaned out and swept, and it was just one of those days. I was uploading a video, and because the videos take 35 to 50 minutes, sometimes an hour, to upload down here, and I don't want to be online while it's uploading because it makes it slow down even more. Um, I was like, well, I'm gonna clean this area. It was like something, one of those things. It's like I'll take the clutter for so long, and then yeah, I have a couch. That's right. Yeah, it's actually there. You can see it. Um, it is it's like I'll take it for so long, and then it like drives me nuts, and I'm like, got to do something about this. I got to clean this. So, like Steve usually sits on the couch over here when he comes up for coffee or having a beer, and now he actually has a spot next to him where he can set a beer down. So, all right, we're gonna do shout out time. I know. I just keep talking and talking and talking. All right, so first of all, we have Icky Can up in Canada, and definitely would ask you to support him. He's a really good guy. He's been living off grid like a year less than me, so he's been doing it. Have you considered building onto the trailer? Yes, I can prep too. I have thought about putting in like a mud room, if you will, but a good sized mud room that I can put a wood stove in there and then open up have that door opened for the camper, and so that I can just let that stay open and let the heat come in here. So yes, I have thought about that. That may not happen this year, obviously, but maybe next year. All right. Secondly, we got Angry Prepper Jason down in New York City. Definitely an awesome guy as well. You have Alaska Prepper with Rudy, another really good guy. There's Alaska Granny. You have Sean James and myself, Reliance. Same guy, two different channels. Definitely watching him build and do what he's doing up there in Canada is amazing. You have North Shore Preparedness also up in Canada. There is Corporal's Corner. I really like what he does with all the dugout builds and stuff like that. Really, really cool. You have Bjorn Hansen. Really like Bjorn Hansen as well. 80K Man, who's up in the Adirondacks. Definitely show him some support. Bizarrizza Jizza, who is in the chat here, guys, tonight. Give him some support as well. He does the Carrington Chronicles. Really good storyline. So definitely check him out as well. You have Marfugal News with Adam and Dax out on the West Coast, out of Seattle. Yeah, there's Bizarrizza Jizza raising his hand there. Go show him some love, folks. But yeah, it's where was I? Marfugal News, Adam and Dax. Definitely show them some support as well. Then we have Magic Prepper in North Dakota. Cody with Wranglestar, another good dude. A lot of good information on Wranglestar's channel. Red Poppy Ranch. There is Survival Lily. You have Kyle's Cabin with Kyle and Sierra up in Minnesota. Nice young couple. Definitely check them out and show them support. They're living off grid up there in a very cold area. You have Bush Radical and Girl in the Woods. Husband and wife team, two different channels. They split their time between Michigan and Alaska. Nice, nice people. A lot of good information on their channels as well. You have Green Greg's, another good channel, a lot of good information there. Southern Prepper One, giving you the boots on the ground updates of what's happening around the world. People sending him information. You have Gray Man Prepping, St. Bernard Acres with Joe. There is Doug and Stacy, another really good channel, a lot of good information on their channel as well. So definitely check them out. You have the Nomadic Movement down in Panama, nice young couple down there. You have the Green Dream Project, which is out in Arizona. Another couple out there doing their thing, living off grid in the desert in Arizona. You have Camping with Steve Wallace, another really good guy. I would ask you to show him some support as well. Bush Doctor Survival is another really good channel. You have Monkey Works, the Needy Homesteader, the Needy Homesteader. A lot of things she's been through the last year. So good channel. Definitely show them support as well. You have Boss of the Swamp. There is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Diamond is amazingly smart. A lot of good information on his channel, so definitely check him out as well. You have Patera from the Appalachian Homestead. There is City Prepper, Lumina Acres. You have Suspicious Observer. There's Bear Independent, The Uneducated Economist. There is Bushcraft Bear in the Canary Islands in La Palma. So another good stuff. Gave us all the information and updates when the volcano was going off there every day. You have Mary Greeley News. A lot of updates with Yellowstone and earthquakes and things that are going on there. Adapt 2030, Malachi's Corner. You have Ice Age Farmer, Ryan Hall, y'all. If you want to get your weather, you definitely should get it from Ryan Hall. Really good guy, and show him some support there. You have Russell Brand. I like Russell Brand because Russell Brand makes you think, and I think that that's important that we have something that makes us think and go, hmm. But he's good information on his channel. Deep South Homestead, The Outsider. There is the Fit Farmer. You have Prep Rebel, Simple Life Reclaimed. There is Townsend's, The Prepared Mind out in California. You have Pinball Preparedness in Tennessee. A lot of good stuff with his channel, so definitely check out Pinball. East Tennessee Preparedness, The Economic Ninja, and last but not least, Little House Off Gritty. And they are also in Tennessee, getting their start on doing what they're doing. A lot of good information out there. And there's a lot more channels, obviously, that are good channels. Those are the ones that I give shout outs to. We should be supporting each other. I think that that is important that we do so because we're just a great big network and a big family. So I think it's important that we support each other. So, but St. Bernard Acres was not nice to Prepper Nurse One. I saw the video that he did, and I didn't take that badly. He has the right to his opinion, and him and I are friends. So he wasn't slamming me. People in the comments were slamming me, but that's that. The thing is, that's always going to be. Boss of the Frank's dog Frankie died this past week, almost 15 years. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He had that dog. 15 years is a long, long time, and I know that dog meant a lot to him. He's as close to Frankie as I am to Hella. So my thoughts are going to be with him on that. I did not know that Frankie died. That's tough. That's tough. I know he got another one too, I believe, but it's that's not an easy thing to deal with. But yeah, Christy McVie died. Yep, I saw that too. 79. So yeah, I know it's Fleetwood Mac. It's amazing how time goes. Time's flying. It's like when I saw how old she was, I was like, holy crap, she was 79. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But anyway, have you seen the Green Dream Project? I have seen their channel. I've watched their channel. Yeah, I like what they're doing out there. I was in the chat room with Pinball and told him I subscribed to him from your channel ad. Well, thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So, anyway, we got to keep rolling here because the time is getting away from us because I have a tendency to be flappy. I know it's shocking. So, anyway, we are Legion. We are many. We are all over the country. We are all over the world. We're a huge, huge network of people. Where is everybody from today? So, if you guys would throw that up there, we have Richard from Southwest Oklahoma, Franklin County, Ohio, Awesome Sauce out of Connecticut, Nowhere, Oklahoma with Okie Forge, Bumstead, Florida with Frederick Nolan, Inverness, Florida with Clyde in the house. Hi, Clyde. We've got Lakeland, Florida, Rolling Meadows, Illinois, New Mexico, Savannah, Georgia, Greenlee County, Arizona, Verone, BC, Canada. We have Waterloo, New York, Northern Virginia with Robert. We have Campbell, Missouri, New Mexico, London in the UK with Peter in the house. Glad to have you here. Ulster Park, New York, Tucson, Arizona, Union City, Pennsylvania, the Wet Pennsylvania Wilds, Troutman, Norris, Carolina, Strattenburg, South Carolina, Paris, Texas, Missouri's in the house, Somerset, Pennsylvania, Kingman, Arizona, Western New York. We got West Virginia with Morning Light, Littleton, New Hampshire. Say no to it. I like that. I like that name. Uh, let's see. Salem, Oregon, with Ma Bear 1900. Lake East, Ohio. Missouri and the Ozark with Delbert Jones. Utica, New York with Marianne. Glad to have you in the house. Fort Worth, Texas with Sonia. Uh, First Nation in Canada, I prep too. Very nice. Flying Post, First Nation, Ontario, Canada. Very cool. So, but again, we are absolutely all over the country. We're all over the world. We're this huge network of people. We are the ones that truly can make a difference. We can make a difference now. We can make a difference after an event. Trying to wake people up now, I know it's hard and I know it's frustrating, but I think we should still try. After an event, we're going to be the teachers. We're going to be the ones that are going to help people figure out what to do, how to survive better, because the majority of people, honestly, have no clue. They have no clue what to do. They have no idea how to get there. And it's kind of sad, to be honest with you. So, anyway, we just got to do the best we can do. But I think that's going to be our roles, and that's kind of what I've always felt. But anyway, again, I'm going to continue to always encourage you guys to continue to prep, continue to get ready. Anything that you do now is going to help you, give you an advantage in a post event. So the more infrastructure, the more supplies that you can have. Brenda from New Hampshire's in the house. um, the better off you're going to be. And so, there are things that I'm trying to get done here, obviously, and trying to get the things that I need because, again, when SHTF happens, folk, and a true SHTF event happens, no more going back to the store, no more last minute trips to top off the gas cans or anything else like that. You're going to have what you have. So SHTF happens tomorrow. I am hunkering down and I'm going to try to ride out the storm. That's my goal. That's what I plan on doing. That's been the goal since day one. So, we just all have decisions that we need to make and do the best that we can and try to get things squared away. And that's all we got. I want to thank my moderators, guys, who do an absolutely fantastic job keeping the chat clean. I think it means a lot to me, ladies and gentlemen, that moderate for me. Very much appreciated. So thank you for all that you guys do. I can prep too. 'Tis the season for giving. Clean out those pantries and donate to the food bank if you can, please. Good statement, and thank you very much for the donation as well. I do appreciate that. I want to thank all of you guys for being here in the chat as well. It's a lot of fun. I do enjoy these. Love sharing the information. Love listening to your questions that you have and try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, anyway, remember, guys, we truly are all in this together. We are one race called the human race. As soon as we can truly figure that one out, we will be in much, much better shape. We have to stop letting them divide us. They continue to divide us, they continue to play games, and we continue to allow them to play these games. So they use race, religion, political affiliation, the vaxxed, the unvaxxed. These are all tools used to keep us fighting amongst each other. So we will never focus on the real problem, which is big business and the government. So, if they can keep us all at each other's throats, then they win. We come together, scares the crap out of them, to be honest with you. All right. Also, remember, guys, to hug and kiss the ones that you love. Tell them every single day how you feel. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen in life. So it's really, really important that we tell the people that we care about every day how we feel. Last but not least, STD, step, thing, and day. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you work at it methodically, you can accomplish anything you want. Baby steps. making forward progress. That's all it is. Every day do something positive that's going to set you closer to whatever your, excuse me, whatever your goal is, and you can do it. And the only person truly that can stop you from reaching that goal is you. That's it. Nobody else. You know, set realistic goals that are achievable, and then set about to making them happen. And once you've achieved a goal, now it's on to the next goal. Like today, my goal, one of the things that I wanted to get done today, get the bunker pumped out, get the tarps up on the dog run. I got both of those things done. So that's not something that I got to wake up tomorrow and go, oh crap, I still have to do that. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about. It's about working, getting those things done, and and not listening to negative people that tell you what you cannot accomplish. There's plenty of them out there that are going to try to tell you what you can and cannot do. Don't listen to that. Stay positive, and you're going to be just fine. All right. So anyway, folks, have a great night. I will see you all tomorrow. Be safe. Have a great day. Week's almost, we're halfway through it already. So, we're just going to keep rocking. Have a good night, and I will talk to you all later. Prepper Nurse 1 out for now.